Hello, listeners. Welcome to my first original creepypasta. I will be uploading more in the coming days, so stay tuned for more. And let me know what you think by leaving a like and comment. We went to an amusement park. My sister didn't make it out. We had planned the trip for weeks. Dad called it the family getaway, a long overdue vacation to a theme park none of us had ever heard of, Whispering Pines Amusement Park. It wasn't on TV commercials or brochures, and even when Dad booked the tickets online, the website was a single page with a simple, eerie tagline: more than just fun, an unforgettable experience. Mom had protested, saying it sounded sketchy, but Dad, ever the optimist, argued it was just a hidden gem. No crowds, no long lines. What more could we want? I didn't care either way. At 15, theme parks had lost their appeal. My little sister Emily, though, she couldn't wait. At 10 years old, she still believed in magic, princesses, and happy endings. Watching her excitement made me envy her innocence. We packed the car and drove out early Saturday morning. The drive felt endless, the park buried deep in the countryside, surrounded by dense, shadowy woods. As we got closer, an unsettling feeling crept over me. The GPS signal flickered, and the roads narrowed into overgrown dirt paths. When we finally arrived, the park loomed in the distance, a rusted gate with peeling paint, creaky rides silhouetted against a gray sky. Whispering Pines looked off. There were no other cars in the gravel parking lot, just ours. Dad dismissed the emptiness, claiming we had the park to ourselves. Emily squealed with joy, dragging Mom toward the gate. A man stood there, dressed in a faded green uniform that might have been an attempt at a park employee outfit. His face was pale and gaunt, and his smile felt forced. "Welcome," he rasped. "Enjoy your day at Whispering Pines." He handed us tickets, yellowed with age, and gestured for us to enter. As soon as we stepped inside, a strange chill settled over me. The air felt heavy, oppressive. The usual cheerful music you'd expect at a theme park was absent, replaced by a faint whispering sound that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The rides were old but functional. There was a Ferris wheel with faded gondolas, a carousel with chipped horses, and a roller coaster that creaked ominously every time a train roared by. Emily begged to ride the carousel first, and Dad obliged, hoisting her onto a white horse. I stood off to the side, watching the ride spin. That's when I noticed the first strange thing. The mirrors on the carousel weren't reflecting us. They showed other people. Families, couples, children, but none of them were real. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide and glassy. One little girl in the mirror, wearing a red dress, stared directly at me and smiled. I blinked, and she was gone. "Jake!" Emily called, snapping me out of my daze. The ride had stopped, and she was waving at me, her laughter filling the air. The day dragged on, each ride more unsettling than the last. The roller coaster rattled like it was on the verge of collapsing. The funhouse mirrors distorted our faces into grotesque shapes, and the haunted house, well, it felt too real. Emily loved it all, dragging us from ride to ride. I kept quiet about the weirdness, convincing myself it was just an old, poorly maintained park. But then, we came to the House of Whispers. It was an attraction tucked into the far corner of the park, partially hidden by overgrown vines. The sign was barely legible. The paint faded and cracked. "Let's go!" Emily squealed, running ahead. "No, wait!" I started, but she was already at the entrance. The doorway was a gaping black hole, and as soon as Emily stepped inside, the shadows seemed to swallow her. "Emily!" Mom called, chasing after her. Dad followed, leaving me no choice but to go in as well. The interior was pitch black, the only light coming from dim lanterns hanging on the walls. The whispering sound was louder here, almost deafening. It wasn't just background noise. It was voices. "Leave! Turn back!" "She's ours now." My stomach churned as we moved through the maze-like corridors, calling Emily's name. And then we found her. She was standing at the end of a long hallway, her back to us. "Emily!" Mom cried, running toward her. But as she got closer, Emily turned, and it wasn't her. Her face was pale and sunken, her eyes hollow black pits. She smiled, revealing sharp, jagged teeth. Mom screamed, stumbling backward. The not Emily laughed, a chilling, echoing sound that made my blood run cold. Then she darted into the shadows, disappearing. Panic set in. We tore through the rest of the House of Whispers, searching every corner, but Emily was gone. When we stumbled back outside, the park looked different. The rides were motionless, the air still. The sky had darkened, even though it was only late afternoon. Where is she?" Mom cried, clutching Dad's arm. "We'll find her," Dad said, though his voice wavered. We split up to search the park, but no matter where I looked, there was no sign of Emily. The whispering sound followed me, growing louder and more insistent. "She belongs to us." "You shouldn't have come." The faces in the mirrors were more vivid now, their expressions twisted with malice. After what felt like hours, I found myself back at the entrance, where the pale man still stood. "Where's my sister?" I demanded. He tilted his head, his smile widening unnaturally. "She's with the park now." "What does that mean?" He didn't answer, just pointed to the Ferris wheel. I ran toward it, my heart pounding. The ride was turning again, though no one had started it. As I got closer, I saw her. Emily was sitting in one of the gondolas, her face blank, her eyes vacant. "Emily!" I shouted, but she didn't respond. The Ferris wheel slowed, stopping at the top. Then, the gondola tipped, and Emily fell. I screamed, running to catch her, but when I reached the base of the ride, she wasn't there. Instead, there was a figure in a red dress, the girl from the carousel mirror. She smiled at me, then whispered, "She's one of us now." By the time I found my parents, they were frantic. I told them what I'd seen, but they didn't believe me, or maybe they didn't want to. "We're leaving," Dad said firmly. But when we reached the gate, it was locked. The pale man appeared again, his grin stretching impossibly wide. "No one leaves until the park is done with them." The whispering grew louder, the shadows around us deepening. I turned to Mom and Dad, but their faces were distorted, their eyes glazed over. "No," I whispered, backing away. The ground beneath me shifted, the world spinning. The last thing I saw before everything went black was Emily's face, her hollow eyes staring into mine. When I woke up, I was lying in a hospital bed. A police officer stood nearby, explaining that I'd been found unconscious in the woods. "There was no theme park," he said, "just an abandoned lot." My parents were gone. Emily was gone. No one believed my story, but I know what I saw. Sometimes late at night, I hear the whispers again. And when I look in the mirror, I see her, the girl in the red dress, smiling back at me.